I just thought I'd film this. This is me. This is Mojo, who we all know. Because I've just sat on the bench, he automatically comes out and sits with me. And then after about 10 seconds in this heat, he goes back underneath the bench. But this is my view. When I'm sitting here with my coffee or my glass of wine, this is what I see of the garden. So we've got the purple flowers here, which get a lot of bees, including, I've got a few in the garden of the smallest UK bee, and they are tiny. None here at the moment, but we can see the valerian, the forget-me-nots, some of the bonsai, the wisterias there looking nice. So this is my view. Quite honestly, this is what the work has been for. Yeah, that's his second favourite place. If it's not too warm, his favourite place is sitting on the bench, but when it's too warm, he finds a shady spot. That's one of them. There are others. So this is the view I have. And like I said, this is what the work's been all about. This is what cutting that laurel bush down. There's a video, if you want to go and find it. Pruning the camellia, shaping the bushes, all that sort of thing that's happened, clearing the weeds out of the gravel beds, planting up the ground cover, getting things like the red valerian from Carol to give some colour and some height. And when I got here, these gravel beds were just weeds and nothing else. So that's all the things that I've done. Pruning the shaping the bushes, including a couple that got removed because they died in the winter, sort of. The help of a pruning saw. They were just in the way. This is a job I need to do. This bamboo is encroaching. It's moving out here. You can see some of the longer... Oh, blue butterfly. Well, you must have seen that. There's two sorts of blue butterflies coming in the garden at the moment. That's one, which is a common blue, and the other sort is a holly blue. The common blues just come and go. They tend to look at the flowers and fly round them and then just move on, strangely enough. But they never land in a place where I can actually film them. But yeah, in between the structural type work that's been done, there's been a lot of planting, lots of ground cover, beds of primroses all over the place. One of my favourite blooms in the early spring is primroses. This Himalayan honeysuckle was rescued basically. It looked like it was in the ground, and when Hannah tried to pull it out, and we found it was actually in a broken pot that was all sort of falling apart, so we rescued it and put it in a proper pot, and it grows nicely now. That'll be in flower later in the year. Buddleias have been added, a butterfly bush for obvious reasons. This is just coming into bloom now. This is what the hell is it called? Scabious. But this is not the wild one, this is a hybrid, but it has lovely purple blooms and bees and butterflies love it. So the sedum, that will be covered in pink flowers later in the year. They have like what I call tabletop blooms. So the individual flowers are absolutely minute, but like 100 to 200 blooms in a sort of platform on the end of each shoot. They're going to look good. The cuckoo flowers just arrived. They were with some other things that came from Carol. They weren't sent by determination. They weren't on the list of plants Carol sent. I didn't know I was going to get them, but they're one of the wildflowers that's just turned up, and they're absolutely adorable. Now, cuckoo flower is the feed plant of the orange-tipped butterfly, which is one of our early spring butterflies. I do get some in the garden, and about a week or so ago there was a female orange tip Strange that it's called an orange tip, because it's only the males have got the orange, so the females are just like white. But there was a female orange tip feeding on the cuckoo flowers. Now it's remotely possible that she laid some eggs and we may get some caterpillars. And if they breed in the garden, if they're successful, then we will get a hatching in the spring of orange tips, so there could be a good number of them instead of just the odd visitor, which is all I get now. More buddleias planted. Yeah, I mean, things that have been rescued. What is possibly orange blossom has been rescued from the midst of this bamboo, which was, you can come out 1.5 meters from where it is now. That's where it was when we started hacking it to pieces. There's a video if you want to go and find it. And while we were hacking it to pieces, we found this camellia, which has the lovely bright red flowers on. And in amongst the bamboo, with just a few things poking out to identify the fact that it existed, was this gorgeous Acer palmatum. So a lovely tree. I mean, just look at that colour against that blue sky. Now we will have to hack this bamboo back again this year, and in doing so we also prune the wisteria after it's finished blooming, obviously. The laurel will need pruning again. That needs doing twice a year. I would like it to be gone, but it's not mine. It belongs to the place, landlord and all that. The thing that has surprised me is the thyme, the herb, which is self-seeded in many places and has grown rampantly. We've got a huge patch of it there, loads here, some round the back here, loads here, some on this side. So that's grown really well, and eventually sometime this year, I don't know when because I don't know exactly what sort of time it is, it should bloom. Now that's going to be a mass of pink, either white or pink flowers, and they're fragrant to the extent that they will attract bees in. Oh look, there's a really big bumblebee, proper bumblebee. Ooh. How the hell they get off the ground, I really don't know. It's quite a miracle. The geraniums up in there that Hannah planted, she just put some bits in under the hedge to give a bit of colour. They're suffering a bit in the sun, and once the sun leaves them they perk up a bit, but just starting to come into flower, so we'll have the lovely pink. When those were planted, I'm sure they were purple. Things change. So yeah, the ivy we're stuck with, the ivy beds, they were here when I got here. There's not much I can do about that. We have thought about trying to dig them out, but they're in full sun most of the day, so what on earth could I plant? And we don't know what's underneath the ivy. We don't know what's there. So I think, as it's a variegated ivy, this geranium comes up through the ivy each year and is a mass of beautiful blooms. Snowdrops come up through it. There's a tulip comes up each year. So there's various things grow up through this ivy that are in that bed. And I've got a feeling that a lot of that would be destroyed if we tried to get this ivy out. And we wouldn't win. You know, we could cut it right back until all we could see was bare soil and whatever is at the back, some sort of wall or some sort of structure is holding that ivy up. That's probably rotten or breaking down. And within a couple of weeks the ivy will be growing back again, because you'd have to go down probably 9 to 12 inches into the soil and get rid of every root to totally remove it. Not worth the effort, quite honestly. It's ornamental, it's not the end of the world. No. And then this nice Acer came from my other house. I brought that, well, my son managed to lift it, which I can't do, get it in the car and then get it round here so that and it lives there. It's too heavy for me to muck about with. But yeah, we're going to have to put another couple of coats of the green on the shed. Where it had gone back to bare wood, although it's been painted, I did do it last year, it's going back to bare wood again. I don't think the stain that I've got is actually that good, but nonetheless, if we give it another couple of coats, that'll be good. And then we've got the table and the bench to coat up with the black stain, along with a top coat on the black staging, the bonsai staging, and the stands, that sort of thing. And I've also got the felt to actually refelt the shed roof, which will make that whole corner look so tidy. You know, if you can imagine the table with the black top to it, with the green, you know, wrought iron work, a black bench against the green shed, and some nice new felt on the roof. That whole corner would be tidied up. Unfortunately, the staging is rotting and is probably going to collapse at some point. And I'm still uncertain what on earth I'm going to do about that. I can report it to the landlord, and the landlord will just say, well, don't walk on it then, because she won't spend the money to do anything with it. Now, I might do something myself, because I get so much enjoyment out of sitting out on the decking in the sun, looking at the work on the garden that's been done. That's part of my enjoyment. And what I thought I could do is, if I lift a couple of boards to find out what's wrong underneath, and then if it's something I can't do much about, there's my friendly little Robin come to say hello. It's a sad story, because that's a pair, nesting pair, and now there's only one. The other one's gone missing, so I don't know what's happened to it, but it's gone. Anyway, back to the decking. If I can get to look underneath and see what's gone wrong, I can make a decision as to whether I can fix it, or at least find out what would need to be done to fix it. And then there's a guy a couple of doors down. I might be able to just, I doubt if you can see it, but I'll hold the camera up as high as I can. In between the bushes, about 2 doors down, you can see a conservatory under construction. You might just be able to see the top of it. I can't see what the hell I'm doing. But anyway, that's a guy who works for himself, who does woodwork. You know, he's a handyman. And I thought that if I can find out what's wrong, if it's a bit beyond my skills and capabilities, which are pretty limited, then it might be worth just getting him to come and fix it for me. I could take all the old boards off and prepare, and then get somebody who knows what they're doing and has got all the right tools to come and repair what's gone wrong underneath, and then put the boards back on. Just a thought, that's not a guarantee. The chives are coming into bloom now, one of the many herbs that I've got in the garden. And over here in the planted border we have splashes of orange poppies, and they are more than welcome. They've just appeared out of the blue. Where they came from I don't know, but the original one was halfway up the side entrance, so it was down there in between the paving slabs, and it flowered, and when we get a bit of a breeze in the normal wind direction, it blows down this alleyway out into the garden. And I think that's how it's managed to self-seed in many places. It will now be allowed to self-seed as much as it wants, because those little splashes of colour I really like. What else? The foxgloves that came from Helen, I put a couple there and a couple up the back, up there. They're starting to grow, so they've taken, despite this flipping heat and constant sun and lack of rain, they've taken, so they're going to do okay. Yeah, you see how everything wilts when the sun comes round. Doesn't matter how much water I put on this bed, when the sun comes round the plants wilt. And then after the sun goes, sort of 4 o'clock, 4:30 in the afternoon, they perk up again. So I think underneath this bed is rubble. I don't think there's any depth to it. So the roots are going down and then coming across something that's not suitable for them. That's my thoughts. I'm not digging down there to find out. And what I've just done is, round the front there is a little piece of ground along the edge of the house, and it's in full sun most of the day. Nothing will grow there. It's too hot and dry. But this is a... let's come round here. This is Campanula minor, I think is its proper name. All of these extensions here will have little purpley blue bells on soon. It's going to be a mass of colour, along with all of that over there and in some other places too. This is the big version of it. Now this grows over 1 metre tall and has columns of purple blue bells that are much larger. Now this was in that front bed. I've rescued it because another day or two of this heat and it would be dead and I'd have lost it. So I've dug it up, cut the flower spikes off. It's very wilted. I've only just done this like half an hour ago, and I've put it in some compost, some potting compost, put it in the shade, and hopefully the roots will get going because they've now got moisture and it will perk up. And then the plan for that is to go in a corner where it can come up over the top of things. So it's going to go down there, in that corner there. It might even go here, nearer the front. But it's going to go up this end somewhere. It's only a bit of spare ground at the moment. So there we go. I just thought I'd have a... And this wisteria, it's only ever flowered once because it works differently to that one. That one effectively produces its buds and blooms on virtually bare stems, and then as the blooms progress the leaves come out. This one doesn't work like that. This one seems to bloom later down the season, and I'm probably not pruning it right on the grounds that I'm not pruning this one to get blooms. I'm pruning this one to keep it in check. And by keeping it in check, I mean every time it tries to climb over the top of the fence, I cut it back. And that might be the place where it blooms, because it's only ever had 1 or 2 blooms on it. But basically I like the green, I like the foliage, and I like the way that as the season goes on, it covers up quite a large part of the fence. So that's the reason that gets pruned the way it does, not to produce blooms. If I did that, we might have a catastrophe and it gets up in the hedge again. So yeah, that's what's sort of going on out here. And this is the first year I think I can say I'm spending a lot of time in the garden. Last year I spent some time in the garden, but I do have other things, obviously, you know, with the orchids and Life the Universe and stuff. I can't spend all my time sorting gardening things out. So the work I do in the garden is limited to short bursts. I can't do too much or I do me back in. But it's getting there. I'm happy with the way the garden is now. I want that shed finished off, get the roofing done and get another couple of coats of stain, and get the table and the bench coated up and renew the black on these bits of staging just to freshen them up. It's not a big job, not if I've got the weather. I might actually start doing that next week because we have got the weather early next week, and then apparently because we've got a bank holiday weekend coming up apparently the weather's going to break and turn unsettled, which is no good for trying to coat up things. So I might make an effort and start doing a bit of that earlier next week. We shall see. Ugh. Right, so that's just a sort of quick look round really. The bird feeders, that's the last lot of feed that's going in the bird feeders. When that lot's finished, then the bird table will be put away until we come into the late autumn again, early winter. The birds don't need feeding through the summer months. They can find there's plenty of their own food around. Huge trees like that, just a massive supply of insects and bugs of all sorts. So there's plenty of food for the birds this time of year. It's late autumn into winter and early spring they need the food. So we'll be getting that out of the way, bearing in mind that the Cymbidium staging is going to have to come out here at some point, but not for a bit, because there's still quite a lot of the Cymbidiums in bloom. So anyway, just a look round and a chat, and it's like I say, I mean the garden has different views. I mean you've got a view from here. This is the view from in the conservatory. So this is what I see when I'm watering my orchids and things with the nice Acer, and the bits of colour and the stuff that's going on here. And then this view here of the planted border, this is another view I see from inside the conservatory. I can also see both of those views when I'm at my workstation, where my laptop is. And then we go back to where we started. We come out here with our glass of wine or our coffee, which I haven't got in my hand at the moment. I will be sorting that out any second now. And we plonk our sorry whatnot back on the bench, and then this is my view I've got. And this has always been borne in mind when the work on the garden's been done, is that this is my point where I sit and enjoy the garden, facing the boiling hot sun, as it is at the moment anyway. So there we go. Hope you've enjoyed this little walk round, and I think what I might do is, I don't do this sort of thing very often, I might go and find the links to the projects that have been done in this garden, the hard work, the big jobs, and stick those links in the description so that people can have a look, if you're interested, in the things that have had to be done to get this garden as it is now. So going back to sort of where it was originally. When I first got here it was out of hand, overgrown, full of weeds, unkempt, and I just looked at it almost with despair, because I thought, what on earth am I going to do with this? Because although the previous tenants didn't deal with it, it is part of the contractual agreement that you sign up when you become a tenant for this place, is to actually take care and maintain the garden. So I hope I've done a reasonable job. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.